2 years ago, buying a home in the Villages felt like a race against the clock. If someone spotted a house they liked, there wasn't much time to think it over. Buyers often had only a few days, sometimes just a week, to make a decision before someone else stepped in with an offer. Multiple offers were common, inspections were frequently waived, and hesitation usually meant losing the property. The atmosphere was fast, competitive, and urgent, but that environment has changed dramatically. Today, homes that once would have sold in less than a week are remaining on the market for months. Listings sit for 60 days, 90 days, sometimes even longer, and this is no longer an isolated situation. It's becoming the new pattern. What's unfolding in this community isn't simply a brief slowdown, it's a shift that experienced real estate observers recognize as an early sign of a market beginning to reprice itself. The Villages has long been known as one of the largest and most successful retirement communities in the United States. Located in Central Florida, roughly an hour north of Orlando, it built a reputation over the years as a place where retirees could enjoy a highly active lifestyle. Golf courses stretch across the landscape, social clubs host constant activities, and the community offers a carefully planned environment designed around convenience and leisure. For many years, the real estate market there seemed unusually stable. Thousands of new residents moved in each year, attracted by warm weather, social opportunities, and the promise of a comfortable retirement lifestyle. It wasn't only retirees who saw value in the area. Investors also took notice, as did adult children who purchased homes for their aging parents. For many people, buying a property in the Villages felt like a safe place to store wealth during retirement. Because demand was so strong for so long, the community appeared resilient even when other housing markets began to cool. That's why the current changes are drawing attention. When a market with such a strong track record begins to show signs of strain, it rarely happens by accident. Instead, small signals start appearing, signals that often go unnoticed by the general public but are closely watched by real estate professionals. One of the most obvious signals right now is time. Homes are taking much longer to sell than they did just a couple of years ago. During 2022 and the early months of 2023, many homes in the area spent less than 2 weeks on the market. Some sold within days. Now it's common to see listings remain active for 2 or 3 months before attracting a serious buyer. Time on the market matters more than most people realize. In real estate, every additional week a property remains unsold carries a financial cost. Sellers continue paying homeowner association fees, insurance premiums, property taxes, utilities, and routine maintenance. For retirees living on fixed incomes, those ongoing expenses can quickly become stressful. Yet the financial burden isn't the only issue. The longer a home sits unsold, the more it changes how buyers think. When homes were selling almost instantly, buyers felt pressure. They believed that if they didn't act quickly, they would lose the opportunity. That urgency pushed people to make fast decisions and sometimes even overpay. Now the psychology is completely different. Buyers understand that they have time. They can compare properties, negotiate more aggressively, and wait for better deals. And once this shift in mindset takes hold, it's difficult to reverse. When buyers see a property that has been sitting for months, they naturally begin asking questions. Why hasn't it sold? Is the price too high? Is there something wrong with the house or the neighborhood? Even if the answers are harmless, the doubt itself can create hesitation. That hesitation spreads throughout the market, slowing everything down. When a property doesn't sell after several weeks, the next step is usually a price reduction. Price adjustments are normal in any real estate market, but what's appearing more frequently now are repeated reductions on the same listing. A home might start at $450,000. 6 weeks later, the price drops to $435,000. A few months later, it falls again. At that point, the seller is no longer negotiating from a position of strength. Instead, they're trying to
figure out where the true market value actually is. This creates a ripple effect throughout the community. Other homeowners notice the reductions and begin wondering whether their own properties might also be overpriced. Meanwhile, buyers watch those price cuts and start thinking that if they wait a little longer, prices could fall further. This expectation becomes a powerful force. Buyers delay their decisions, sellers grow more anxious, and the cycle continues. In a community like the Villages, this situation carries additional pressure because many residents depend on the equity in their homes to support the next stage of their lives. A reduction of even 10% can make a meaningful difference. It could determine whether someone can afford assisted living, relocate closer to family, or maintain their retirement plans. When those financial margins become thinner, the stress level rises quickly. Eventually, when price cuts fail to attract buyers, sellers begin reconsidering their strategy. One common sign of frustration appears when homes are taken off the market and relisted with a new real estate agent. The original listing expires without a sale, and the homeowner hopes that a different agent, a different marketing approach, or a fresh listing might produce better results. However, changing agents doesn't alter the underlying market conditions. If demand has weakened or prices remain too high, the same challenges will continue. What the relisting does reveal, though, is increasing motivation on the seller's side. Sometimes that motivation turns into urgency. For buyers, that urgency can create negotiating power. For the broader market, it signals that listings are no longer converting into sales the way they once did. And when that pattern spreads across multiple properties in the same community, it often leads to the next stage, price adjustments across the entire market. At the same time, the number of homes available for sale has been gradually increasing. For years, inventory in the Villages remained tight. New listings disappeared quickly because buyers were always waiting. But over the past year, the balance has shifted. More homes are entering the market, fewer are selling quickly, and the ones that do sell often take much longer. Buyer behavior has also evolved. Instead of rushing to secure a property, many people are carefully evaluating their options. They compare neighborhoods, monitor price changes, and sometimes wait to see if conditions improve further. In a retirement community, this cautious approach is particularly important because many buyers are making what may be their final home purchase. Unlike younger homeowners who might upgrade or relocate several times throughout their lives, retirees tend to approach the decision more carefully. If they sense uncertainty about prices, insurance costs, or long-term affordability, they may decide to delay their purchase. Another factor shaping the market is the rising cost of ownership. Monthly homeowner association fees in the Villages have been increasing steadily, and in some areas they exceed several $100s per month. When those fees are combined with property taxes, maintenance expenses, and insurance premiums, the total monthly cost can become significant. Florida's insurance market has faced challenges in recent years, with some companies raising premiums dramatically or leaving the state altogether. In certain cases, homeowners have seen their insurance costs double or even triple. For buyers evaluating a property today, the purchase price is no longer the only number that matters. The monthly cost of maintaining the home plays an equally important role. This creates a disconnect between buyers and sellers. Sellers often base their asking prices on sales that occurred a few years ago, when borrowing costs and insurance premiums were lower. Buyers, however, are calculating affordability based on today's reality. When those numbers don't align, negotiations stall and deals collapse. There is also a demographic element shaping the situation. Many homeowners in the Villages are entering their 70s or 80s. In many cases, they're not selling because they want to move, but because circumstances are changing. Health concerns, the need for assisted living, or the desire to live closer to children can make relocation necessary. When those situations arise, sellers often cannot wait indefinitely for the perfect market conditions. They may accept lower offers simply because time is limited. Once a few homes sell below earlier expectations, those sales begin influencing the rest of the market. Appraisers use recent transactions as benchmarks, and buyers use those numbers to guide their negotiations. Even homeowners who are not in a hurry to sell may discover that their property's estimated value has declined. In a community where many residents are in a similar stage of life, this pressure can build quickly. If more people need to sell, while the pool of new buyers grows slowly, the balance between supply and demand shifts. Real estate markets rarely collapse overnight. Instead, they usually move through a gradual process. Homes begin lingering on the market, price reductions become more common, buyers grow patient while sellers grow increasingly motivated. Over time, the market quietly adjusts until prices reach a level where transactions begin flowing again. This process doesn't always lead to a dramatic crash. Sometimes it simply results in a correction that brings prices back into alignment with current economic conditions. Right now, the Villages appears to be entering that transitional phase, not because of a single major event, but because several underlying factors are slowly drifting out of balance at the same time. Longer selling times, repeated price cuts, rising ownership costs, and shifting buyer psychology are all signals pointing in the same direction. For buyers, these conditions may create opportunities to negotiate better deals. For sellers, they serve as a reminder that timing can be crucial in real estate decisions. And for anyone watching the house